All right, guys. So before I tell you about business, before I tell you about the money, I think it's only fair that I tell you where I came from. Because if you only see the highlight reel, you'll probably think this all happened overnight. Well, it didn't. I was born in Taiwan and raised by a single mom. And when I say she sacrificed everything, I mean everything. She worked incredibly hard to give me opportunities she never had herself. See, growing up, we weren't talking about entrepreneurship. We weren't talking about investing. We weren't talking about building wealth. The goal was much simpler than that. Just make it through. Just keep going. Just survive. And as a kid, you don't really realize what your parents are carrying until you're older, right? Looking back now, I understand how much pressure she was under, how many things she probably hid from me so I wouldn't have to worry. Watching that shaped the way I see work. It taught me sacrifice. It taught me responsibility, but it also planted something inside me. I remember thinking one day I'm going to make my mom proud, not because she asked me to, not because she expected it, but because I wanted all her sacrifices to mean something. I wanted to create a life that looked completely different from the one we grew up with. Well, the funny thing is, I had absolutely no idea how to. Nobody around me was building businesses. Nobody was teaching branding. Nobody was talking about investments or personal development. I didn't have a roadmap. I didn't have connections. I didn't have someone handing me the answers. All I had was this feeling that there had to be more. That maybe if I kept pushing, if I kept learning, eventually I'd figure it out. And that's really where the story begins. Not with money, not with success, just a kid from Taiwan, raised by a single mom, trying to build a life that looked different from the one he came from. See, at the time, I had no idea that the biggest thing holding me back wasn't my circumstances. It was the way I thought. And I wouldn't realize that until much later. So, let me tell you how tattooing entered my life. So, how did I end up becoming a tattoo artist? Honestly, I didn't grow up thinking, one day I'm going to tattoo people. That wasn't the dream. What I loved was creating. I've always been drawn to art. I love making things with my hands. I love the idea of taking something that only exists in someone else's imagination and bringing it into life. Then I found tattooing, and something just clicked. For the first time, I wasn't just making art. I was creating something that people would carry with them for the rest of their lives. And that meant something to me. And I thought, this is it. I found what I'm supposed to do. And like a lot of artists, I believe one thing that almost every creative believes in the beginning. I thought, if I become really, really good, everything else will take care of itself. I thought better tattoos meant more clients. More clients meant more money, and more money meant success. So naturally, I obsessed over my craft. I studied, I practiced, I tried to become the best artist I possibly could. And don't get me wrong, becoming great at what you do is important. You should absolutely care about your craft. But here's what nobody told me. Being the best artist in the room doesn't automatically make you the most successful person in the room. That realization hit me much later because I started noticing something. There were artists who weren't as technically strong, but they stayed booked. There were artists making more money, even though, in my opinion, their work wasn't better, At first, that really, really frustrated me. I kept thinking, how is this possible? I'm working just as hard, maybe even harder. Why isn't this translating into the life I thought it would? And looking back now, I wasn't asking the right question. I kept asking, how do I become a better tattoo artist? When the question I should have been asking was, how do I become a better business owner? Right? And I didn't know it yet, but that misunderstanding was about to catch up with me because eventually working harder wasn't enough anymore. And that's when I hit one of the lowest point in my career. So there came a point where I started questioning everything. From the outside, I looked busy. I was tattooing, posting on social media, showing up every day. If you only looked at my Instagram, you'd probably think everything was going great. But behind the scenes, I was exhausted. And here's something I've learned. Being busy and building a successful business are not the same thing. I was putting in the hours, I was working hard, but my income was inconsistent. One month would be okay, the next month I'd be stressed, then another good month, then another slow one. It felt like I was constantly starting over, right? And eventually, I started asking myself some uncomfortable questions. Did I make the wrong career choice? Should I have just stayed in corporate? Maybe this isn't supposed to work for me. See, I never stopped loving tattooing. That wasn't the problem. The problem was that I couldn't see a clear path forward. I felt like I was doing everything people told me to do, right? Work harder, post more, get better, be talented, be patient. So I did. And yet, I still felt stuck. I remember thinking, if this is what success is supposed to feel like, why am I so fucking miserable? Because I wasn't chasing freedom anymore. I was chasing the next appointment, the next deposit, the next paycheck. I had accidentally built myself another job, except just one where I was my own boss. And that's when I realized something that completely changed the direction of my life. The problem wasn't that I wasn't working hard enough. The problem wasn't that I wasn't talented enough. The problem wasn't the economy or the algorithm or the competition. The biggest problem was that I didn't know what I didn't know. I was trying to solve business problems with tattooing skills. And those are two completely different games, right? Looking back now, that season was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Because when you're uncomfortable enough, you finally become willing to question everything you believe. And that's exactly where my life started to change. Instead of asking, how can I work harder? I finally started asking a different question. One question changed the trajectory of my life. Not a strategy, not a marketing trick, just one question. Instead of asking, how can I work harder? I started asking, what do people at the next level know that I don't? That sounds simple, right? But it completely changed how I approach everything. Because up until that point, I thought success came from working more hours, more effort, more hustle. But then I started looking at people who were operating at a level I wanted to reach. And then I noticed something. They weren't necessarily working harder than me. Some of them were actually working less. But every decision they made was intentional. They had systems, they had structure. They knew exactly what they were trying to build. For me, I was reacting while they were operating. That's the difference. That realization was so humbling because I had spent years trying to become a better tattoo artist when what I really needed was to become a better operator. I needed to understand branding, marketing, sales, communication, leadership, client experience. All the things I used to think were extra. I realized something that honestly stung a little. I have been expecting my talent to solve problems that only business knowledge could solve. And talent doesn't fix positioning. Talent doesn't create trust. Talent does not build systems. At that moment, I made a promise to myself. I was done trying to figure everything out alone. If someone had already built the life I wanted to learn from them. Not because I wanted shortcuts, but because I was tired of taking the long road simply because I was too proud to ask for directions. And that mindset shift led me to one of the scariest decisions I've ever made. A decision that, looking back, completely changed the trajectory of my career. I decided to invest in mentorship. And honestly, that decision scared me more than almost anything else I've done. So I made the decision to invest in mentorship. And I'll be honest with you, I was terrified. Not because I didn't believe in my mentor, because I wasn't sure if I believed in myself. I remember looking at the investment and thinking, damn dog, that's a lot of money. Especially coming from the way I grew up, right? When you're raised by a single mom, you learn to protect every dollar. You don't spend money unless you absolutely have to. So spending thousands of dollars on education, on coaching, on myself, that felt uncomfortable. Part of me kept saying, what if this doesn't work out? What if I wasted my money? What if I'm not ready? And maybe some of you have the same thoughts too, right? Then another question hit me. A question that honestly made me feel so uncomfortable. What if I stay exactly where I am? because I have spent years trying to figure everything out on my own. Years. I wasn't saving money. I was paying with time. I was paying with missed opportunities. I was paying with stress. I was paying with frustration. I was paying with years of my life that I could never get back. And that's when I realized something. The biggest risk wasn't investing in mentorship. The biggest risk was staying the same. So I bet on myself, not because I knew it would work, not because I had guarantees, but because I finally believed that if I wanted different results, I had to become a different person. And here's the funny part. I thought I was paying for information. I wasn't. The internet has information. Books have information. YouTube has information. What I was really paying for? It was perspective. Someone who had already walked the path. Someone who could point out blind spots I couldn't see. Someone who could tell me, stop wasting time on that or focus on this instead. It wasn't about shortcuts. It was about shortening the learning curve. That one decision probably saved me years of trials and error. And looking back, it wasn't the money I invested that changed my life. It was the decision to finally invest in myself, because that decision forced me to stop acting like someone hoping things would change and start acting like someone committed to change. But here's what's surprising me the most though. Mentorship didn't just change my business, it completely changed the way I thought. So when I first joined the mentorship, I thought I was going to learn how to make more money. That's honestly what I wanted, right? I thought someone was going to hand me the perfect strategy, the perfect Instagram post, the perfect sales script, the perfect business plan. Instead, the first thing that changed wasn't my business. It was my thinking. I realized I had been asking the wrong questions. I kept asking, how do I make more money? When I should have been asking, who do I need to become to create more value? That's a completely different question, right? Because money is an outcome. It's not the goal. The person you become determines the results you create. And that hit me hard. I also realized something else. For years, I identified as a tattoo artist, and I was so proud of that. But I had to shift my identity. I stopped thinking, I'm a tattoo artist who owns a business, and started thinking, I'm a business owner who happens to tattoo. That one shift changed every decision I made. Instead of asking, how do I feel tomorrow? I started asking, how do I build a business that still grows 5 years from now? Instead of wondering, how do I get more clients? I asked, how do I become the obvious choice? And instead of chasing attention, I started building trust, because the attention gets people to notice you. Trust gets people to choose you. And that's something I wish someone had told me years earlier. People don't buy the best product, they buy the one they trust the most. Whether you're selling tattoos or running a landscaping company, owning a gym, or coaching people, trust is a currency. So I stopped trying to convince everyone. I started becoming someone worth believing in. I became more consistent, more intentional, more disciplined. I stopped waiting until I felt motivated. I built habits that worked whether I felt like it or not. And that's when everything started compounding. Not because I found some secret, but because I finally understood that success isn't built on one big decision. It's built on hundreds of small decisions made consistently over a long period of time. And that mindset completely changed how I approach business. And once my thinking changed, my actions changed. Once my actions changed, my results started changing too. Now, one of the biggest lies I believed early on was that successful people were just more motivated than I was. Now I don't believe in that at all. Motivation is unreliable. Some days you wake up excited, some days you don't. If your business depends on how you feel that morning, your income will always go up and down with your emotions. That's why I became obsessed with systems. Not because systems are exciting, but because they removed the need to constantly make decisions. I started asking myself, what has to happen every single day for my business to grow? And once I figured that out, I stopped leaving it to chance. For me, it became something like this. I create content, that content earns attention, that attention turns into trust, that trust leads to consultations, consultations become clients, and when clients have an incredible experience, they tell other people. And then the cycle starts all over again. At first, I thought social media was about getting views. Now I see it differently. Social media is just a way to build relationships before someone ever meets you. By the time client sits across from me from a consultation, they already know how I think. They know what I believe. They know how I work. I'm not trying to convince them anymore. I'm simply confirming what they've already decided. The same thing happened with my business. I stopped reacting to problems as they come up. I started building processes that prevented those problems from happening in the first place. That changed everything because systems create consistency, and consistency builds trust. Trust builds reputation, and reputation creates demand. Once I understood that, I stopped chasing clients. I started building a business that naturally attracts the right ones. And here's the part that surprised me the most. None of those systems worked until I worked on myself first. Because systems don't fix bad habits, they amplify good ones. So eventually, the results started showing up. Not overnight, not in one viral video, not because I got lucky either, but because all of those small decisions finally started compounding. I remember when making a couple $1,000s in a month felt like a huge win. Then it became 8,000, then 20,000, then 40, and eventually I had my first $70,000 month. If you had told the younger version of me that was possible, I honestly don't think I would have believed you. But here's what's interesting. When I finally got there, it didn't feel the way I thought it would. For years, I thought the number would change everything. That once I hit a certain income, I finally feel I had made it. But that's not what happened. The money solved some problems. It gave me options. It gave me freedom. It allowed me to help my family. It allowed me to invest back into business. It gave me the opportunity to pour into other people. And I'm so grateful for every bit of that. But the greatest reward wasn't the money. It was confidence. Confidence that I could figure things out. Confidence that I could build something from nothing. Confidence that if life knocked me down again, I had the skill to rebuild. That's something nobody can ever take away from you. The bank account can change, right? The algorithm can change. The economy can change. But once you've developed the ability to create value, you stop relying on luck. You start relying on yourself. And that's when I realized the $70,000 month wasn't the destination. It was simply evidence that the work I've been doing for years was finally paying off. The money wasn't the achievement. The person I had become, that was the real achievement. So after everything I've shared, the struggles, the mistakes, the wins, the mentorship, the systems, the $70,000 months, if you ask me what actually changed my life, it wasn't one strategy. It wasn't one Instagram reel. It wasn't one lucky opportunity. It was a decision. A decision to stop waiting for my circumstances to change and start changing myself. For a long time, I thought success was about finding the right answer. Now I think it's about becoming the right person. Because every level of business requires a different version of you, right? The version of me making a few $1,000s a month couldn't have handled the business I have today. Not because I wasn't capable, because I wasn't ready. I hadn't developed the habit, the discipline, the communication, the leadership, the patience, the standards, right? Those things had to come first. And once they did, the income followed. That's why I don't chase money anymore. I chase growth. Because growth creates value, and value creates income. If you focus only on making more money, you'll always be looking for shortcuts. But if you focus on becoming someone who creates more value, the money has a reason to show up. That's been true in tattooing, it's been true in business, and honestly, it's been true in every area in my life. The biggest investment I ever made wasn't into equipment, it wasn't into advertising, it wasn't even into my business. It was into myself. Because when you invest in yourself, nobody can take that away from you. Your knowledge travels with you. Your experience travels with you. Your mindset travels with you. And every future opportunity benefits from the person you've become. So if you're sitting here wondering what your next move is, don't just ask, how do I make more money? Ask yourself this, who do I need to become to deserve the life I'm asking for? That question has guided almost every major decisions I've made, and it continues to guide me today. So that's my story. From a kid born in Taiwan, raised by a single mom, who almost gave up on tattooing, who almost went back to corporate, who finally decided to bet on himself, to building a business I never thought was possible. But here's the thing, this presentation was never really about me. It was about showing you what's possible when you're willing to become someone different. Because if all you took away from today was, oh, Van made $70,000 a month, you missed the point. The 70,000 wasn't the lesson. The lesson was every decision that came before it. The mornings when nobody was watching, the nights I questioned myself, the uncomfortable investment mentorship, the consistency when nothing seemed to be happening, the willingness to admit I don't know everything, and to go learn from people who did. If I could go back and talk to the younger version of myself, the one who was burnt out, the one thinking about going back to corporate, I wouldn't tell him to go work harder. I tell him this: stop trying to do everything alone. Stop confusing movement with progress. Stop waiting until you're ready. And start becoming the person your future requires. Because your future isn't waiting for more talent. It isn't waiting for better luck. It's waiting for a better version of you. So before you leave today, I want you to think about one question. Not what you want to earn. Not how many followers you want. Not how many clients you want. Ask yourself this: who do I have to become for those things to become inevitable? Because when you become that person, the income follows, the opportunities follow, the relationships follow, the confidence follow. I stand here today incredibly grateful for everything I've built, but even more grateful for the person this journey forced me to become. So thank you for taking the time to listen to my story. I hope the next time we cross paths, you're sitting here telling yours.